My name is Julian, and I am 31 years old, living in the buzzing heart of New York City. Every morning, the pre-dawn quiet of my small apartment on the fourth floor would be broken by the rumble of the first subway train, a sound that was my real alarm clock, long before my phone would even think of buzzing. I worked as a delivery driver, navigating the maze of streets and avenues in an old, beat-up van that was more hope than horsepower. My days were a blur of packages, traffic jams, and hurried greetings, all while trying to make ends meet in a city that never sleeps and rarely waits for anyone. My dream, a quiet, stubborn little ember deep inside me, was to one day save enough money to open my own small coffee cart, a cozy spot where people could grab a warm drink and a moment of peace before rushing off to their own demanding days. It felt like an impossible dream sometimes, like trying to catch starlight in a jar. Every dollar I earned was immediately spoken for, swallowed by rent, groceries, and the ever-present fear of an unexpected expense. That fear, that internal nemesis that whispered doubts into my ear, was always there, reminding me that I was just one unexpected bill away from losing everything I had worked so hard for. It told me I was stuck, that I would always be just barely making it, always looking up at others who seemed to effortlessly climb higher while I just kept treading water. Life had a way of testing that fear, and it did so in a big way one Tuesday morning. My old delivery van, my lifeline, decided it had finally had enough. The engine sputtered, groaned, and then fell silent, refusing to roar back to life no matter how many times I turned the key. The mechanic, a kind but very serious man named Mr. Henderson, gave me the news with a sympathetic sigh. A major transmission issue, hundreds of dollars to fix. Hundreds of dollars I absolutely did not have. My heart sank deeper than I thought possible. Without the van, I couldn't work, which meant no money, which meant no rent, no food, and certainly no coffee cart dream. I took on every extra shift I could get my hands on that week, even walking deliveries when my supervisor allowed it, anything to claw back some income. I ate ramen noodles for every meal, skipped my morning coffee, and walked everywhere to save on subway fare. My body ached, my feet throbbed, and the constant gnawing worry in my stomach kept me awake at night. The city seemed colder, harsher, the glittering skyscrapers mocking my struggle. Every smile I saw on a passerby felt like a reminder of the ease I didn't possess. Just when I thought I was making a tiny bit of progress, a series of relentless setbacks hit. The car repair estimate went up even more because a part was harder to find. Then my old, worn-out winter jacket, the one I'd had for years and mended more times than I could count, finally gave up the ghost. A sudden tear ripped right through the fabric as I reached for a package, exposing the thin, useless stuffing inside. And of course, the city chose that exact moment to plunge into an unprecedented cold snap. The wind howled through the streets like a hungry wolf, biting at every exposed inch of skin. My apartment, with its drafty windows, felt like an icebox. I shivered constantly, the cold seeping into my bones, making my muscles ache even more. I saw everyone else bundled up in warm, thick coats, their scarves wrapped tightly around their faces, and I felt a profound sense of isolation. I was standing on the precipice, teetering on the edge of giving up. The repairs for the van, the lack of a proper coat, the relentless cold, the exhaustion, it all piled up until it felt like a mountain crushing me. I couldn't see a way out. The internal nemesis, that voice of doubt, was screaming now, telling me I was a failure, that I should just quit, that the city was too big, too powerful, and I was too small to ever make a difference for myself. I felt truly, utterly alone, insignificant in the vast, indifferent metropolis. It was late one evening, after a particularly demoralizing day where I'd been told the van repair would be delayed even further, that I reached my lowest point. The temperature had dropped to single digits, and a bitter wind whipped through the streets, chilling me to the bone despite the flimsy layers I was wearing. My hands were numb, my nose was running, and my teeth chattered uncontrollably. I was walking through a usually bustling park that was now almost deserted, the trees bare and skeletal against the dim city lights, the air thick with the smell of damp earth and approaching snow. My shoulders slumped, my head down. I just wanted to disappear, to find some corner where the cold couldn't reach me, where the weight of my problems wouldn't feel so heavy. I felt tears sting my eyes, not from the cold, but from the sheer exhaustion and hopelessness. I was done. I was going to tell my supervisor I couldn't come in anymore, that I couldn't afford to fix the van, that I was giving up. As I shuffled past a park bench, my gaze blank, something bright red caught my eye, a vibrant splash of color against the gray, desolate evening. It was a jacket, a brand new, thick, puffy winter jacket folded neatly on the bench. It looked incredibly warm, like a hug you could wear. My first thought was that someone had forgotten it, but then I saw a small piece of paper tucked underneath it. My fingers, stiff with cold, fumbled with the note. I held it up to the dim streetlight and read the handwritten words. "If you are cold, this is yours." The words hit me like a physical warmth, spreading through my chest faster than any hot tea could have. Disbelief washed over me, followed by a surge of overwhelming emotion. Someone, a complete stranger, had thought of this, had deliberately left this jacket for me, or for someone just like me. It wasn't a mistake. It was an act of pure, unexpected kindness. I looked around, but there was no one else in sight. I slowly, carefully picked up the jacket. It felt heavy, substantial, luxurious in my cold, trembling hands. The fabric was soft, the lining incredibly thick. I slipped it on, and it fit perfectly, as if it had been made just for me. The warmth was immediate, seeping into my frozen limbs, chasing away the bone-deep chill that had been my constant companion. But it wasn't just physical warmth. It was a warmth of the spirit, a sudden, powerful feeling that I wasn't entirely alone, that even in this vast, indifferent city there were people who cared, people who saw. That single act of generosity, that anonymous gift, ignited a spark of hope in me that I thought had been extinguished forever. It was my turning point. I stood there, wrapped in the new jacket, and a quiet resolve settled within me. I wasn't going to give up. This jacket was a sign. I would find a way. The very next morning, emboldened by the renewed sense of hope, I walked into Mr. Henderson's garage, wearing the warm red jacket, and explained my situation fully, something my pride had prevented me from doing before. I asked if there was any way to pay in installments, or if he knew of any community programs that helped with vehicle repairs for people in my line of work. To my surprise, he told me about a local fund for small business owners and independent contractors struggling during the winter months, a fund I never would have known about if I hadn't pushed past my fear and asked. I applied, and within a week, thanks to the jacket's silent encouragement, my van was repaired. My new normal wasn't magically easy. I still worked long hours, the city was still demanding, and my coffee cart dream was still a distant horizon. But everything felt different. The red jacket became my daily armor against the cold, a constant reminder of the profound connection that can exist between strangers. It reminded me that even when things feel darkest, light can appear from the most unexpected places. It made me want to be that light for someone else. I started small. I always carried a few extra dollars to buy a coffee or a warm meal for a homeless person I saw on my route. I went out of my way to help elderly residents carry their groceries. I started volunteering my time, using my now reliable van on weekends to deliver donated food and warm blankets to shelters in different parts of the city. I never told anyone about the jacket, but its lesson was always with me. Years passed, and I never forgot that bitter cold night or the jacket that saved me. My coffee cart dream, once so distant, slowly, steadily came to life. It's a small, cozy place now, with warm lights and the comforting smell of freshly brewed coffee, a place where people can indeed find a moment of peace. I often see people shivering in the cold, and it always takes me back. One particularly blustery winter evening, as I was closing up my coffee cart, I saw an older gentleman sitting hunched on a bench across the street, looking frail and absolutely frozen. His coat was thin and threadbare. My heart ached for him. Without a second thought, I walked back into my cart, grabbed a brand new, thick red winter jacket that I had bought specifically for this purpose, and walked over to the bench. I carefully placed the jacket next to him, along with a warm cup of coffee and a small, folded note. "If you are cold, this is yours." I turned to walk away, giving him his privacy, but as I did, I heard his voice, raspy but clear. "Thank you, son. Some kindness just keeps coming back, doesn't it?" I paused, and a shiver, this time not from the cold, ran down my spine. I looked back at him, and his eyes, deep and knowing, met mine. A small smile played on his lips. I couldn't be sure, but in that moment, in the quiet wisdom of his gaze, it felt like the circle was complete, proving that a single act of kindness can indeed echo through time, making the world a warmer, more connected place for us all.